Welcome to another episode of the Nishant Garg Show with Monica Ortiz. My name is Nishant Garg. This show is about extracting information on mindfulness and personal development. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. Dr. Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Monica is an award-winning writer and author, a powerful public speaker, and a successful life coach who has been teaching mindfulness and helping others become their best for over 20 years. She created the Exceptional Life Institute to inspire others to learn to help themselves better communicate and create healthy community. Monica has also spoken at the TEDx on the topic Evolving Through Mindfulness. Now let the episode begin. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nishant. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so happy that you reached out to me and that we ended up e-meeting and that you wanted to have me on your show. So thank you.
My pleasure. You have spoken at TEDx. You have spoken at Google, Stanford University of Southern California. You launched Exceptional Life Institute in 2016. You have a book, Universe 101 Learn, Grow, Evolve.
Yes.
I would like to ask you the very basic question. What is mindfulness?
What is mindful? That's a perfect question. That's a brilliant question to start with. So back in the day, back in a long days ago, mindfulness was how it was presented was the practice of meditation, of becoming, sitting down, meditating so you could become one with yourself. Because when we're out and about in the world, we become out of ourselves. We become a product of whatever we're dealing with. Yes? Yeah. You're a product when you're at work, you're dealing with work. When you have a talk with your man, so I'm going to say girlfriend, maybe, possibly, partner. Let's say partner. Let's just be safe in this world today. Let's say partner. You have a different mindset and a different way of interacting with your partner. You have a different way of interacting with your kids. So mindfulness originally was meditation. Let's sit and be one with you. Okay, be present with yourself so that you can really, I'm going to say, learn to appreciate you. What I've done is I've tried to evolve mindfulness into where I believe that it does go. So taking that idea of, hey, mindfulness is meditation. No, mindfulness can start with meditation so that you can throw away everything, get rid of, push aside, however you want to frame it, everything that's gone on in your day, and you can become present with yourself. And then once you become, here's the evolution. Once you become present with yourself, now you can get rid of all those, wild emotions that were happening during the day so that you can really analyze where you're going, what you're thinking, understanding that your thoughts now become your words and your words now become actions. And those actions just don't affect you. Those actions affect everybody around you. That's
Absolutely.
what mindfulness is.
And mindfulness is nothing but checking in with your feelings and with your body.
Yes.
And meditation is one of the mindfulness practices. Mindfulness is a big umbrella. Under that umbrella, there are many practices. Meditation is one of them.
Yeah. Meditation can be where it starts because, again, we're out in our busy lives and we're busy worlds. And so when people come to me and they're in a not good place, I usually start them with a meditative breathing exercise. If they say, I can't meditate, I can't sit for 5 minutes, I can't sit for 20 minutes, I can't sit. Okay, well, that's an issue. Already that's an issue. So let's figure that out and let's get you to a place. And so where I always start people with is breathing.
How does it look like? Can you give us a 1 minute demo?
Yes, absolutely. So it's funny because there are people who come to me and they say, I can't meditate. And then there are people come to me and say, I've been meditating for 20 years. I don't need your style of meditation. I have my own and I love it and so on and so forth. But they're still in a state of mind that isn't healthy. And so I give them all credit for whatever it is. You can do meditation, but just try mine. You can do your meditation for 20 years or 15 years or 10 years, but just try this. And so what it is I call it 777 breathing. It's just breathing, breath work.
777.
Yeah. So you
Interesting.
breathe in through your nose for 7, the count of 7. And then you hold that breath for the count of 7. And then you exhale through your mouth for the count of 7. So it's breathing in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold that breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, deep exhale through your mouth. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then as you continue to do that breath, you're picturing the flow of oxygen coming in through your nose, going down your windpipe, filling your lungs. You feel your chest expanding. So while you're holding that breath, you can imagine your chest just being full of beautiful, clean oxygen. And then as you exhale that breath, as I'm teaching people how this breath work, you just, imagine all that oxygen just in your lungs deflating, everything getting out of you, everything negative getting, you expelling everything that you don't want out of your body.
And
so what you're doing
practice,
is you're cleansing yourself. Yeah.
And with this practice, we are getting into that space between flight and fly response, if that makes sense.
Fight and flight response. Yes, exactly. You're cleansing yourself. So you're getting rid of all of those emotions, any negative emotions that you've had during the day. You're just getting rid of it. And so you just do this breathing. And I tell people 5 minutes, that's it. And
your framework is 777. I've heard a similar framework where they say 535.
Yeah.
It can be 333, 444.
Or 555. Yeah, exactly. And I do it that way so that it's just consistent throughout. It's the consistency. And then once you learn the consistency, that's when you start picturing, clean oxygen coming in, your lungs expanding, and then everything expelling, including any negativity expelling when you exhale.
Would you suggest doing this breath work in a specific time, or people can practice whenever they want?
So that's a really amazing question. And it's a very important question. It depends on the person. Some people wake up with anxiety. Yes?
Yes.
Have you heard? Yeah. Some people wake up in the morning with anxiety. I used to be dumbfounded by that because I used to think in the way that I thought, which was, oh my God, I'm so the opposite. I go, oh my God, I woke up today. Wow, amazing. I get to start a new day and I get to see what I can do with that new day. So see, I always started invigorated. But when I would have clients and they'd say, yeah, I wake up and I'm like immediately stressed, then I tell them that's when you wake up, set your little alarm for 5 minutes and you do this breathing. Exhale all those thoughts. Get rid of all of those anxiety thoughts. You don't want to start your day in anxiety. Some people have really tough days, and so they need to do it at night. Some people need to do it in the middle of the afternoon, right before they take their lunch.
I actually do it all the time.
Bravo!
Whenever,
good for you.
Whenever I feel my heartbeat is getting faster,
yes,
or because of stress or anxiety, I'm mindful now. I'm not expert at it, but I'm getting better at it. I remind myself to breathe, stop, take a pause, go for a walk and do something. Yes, when we wake up in the morning, sometimes I don't feel anxiety, but I may feel overwhelmed. So many tasks, so many activities are going on. And I'm like, what the heck? I just woke up. And then I remind myself, I say, thank you, universe, thank you, God, or whatever people believe in. I say, thank you, God. I woke up. Thank you for giving me this day. So delaying the negative response time, and journaling. I do journaling a lot. Whenever I feel overwhelmed, whatever insecurities, fear, it comes every single day. Those negative emotions come every single day.
Yeah.
And then I just take my journal and write whatever I feel like. And it helps. It really helps me, actually. And I'm sure these practices will help our listeners for sure.
Yeah. So in my, I have an app. It's called the Masters of Mindfulness app. And so in my app, I created it as a mindfulness tool, and it's got 7 different tools within the app. They all teach mindfulness. So there's a journal, there's a gratitude journal in there. There's also a mood tracker journal in there. There's aspirations, there's all kinds of stuff. But in the way I teach journaling a little bit different than other people teach journaling. So
can you explain that, please?
Yeah. So in the Masters of Mindfulness group, we have a Facebook community, and I do office hours twice a week because I like to check in with my community twice a week. I like to see what's going on, talk to them about what's going on in the world, or, hey, I have some breathing that we can do, or let's breathe with movement, because some people love to breathe with movement. It helps them. They can't sit still for 5 minutes. It's hard. Huh?
Like walking? Like your walking meditation?
You can do that. Or if you're sitting at your desk and you can't walk, but you're at your desk and you want to do some breathing, but you can't sit still and just breathe. I teach some arm movement with breathing and shoulder rolls and, things like that while you're breathing. That really helps them out.
I do that actually whenever I record podcast. Before that, I do shoulder shrug breathing.
Yay!
Relax
That's
myself.
what I teach.
2 minutes before recording.
That's one of the things I teach. Yeah, shoulder shrugging, and we do shoulder rolling back and shoulder rolling forward, all with breath. I've been very, and this is just the truth, I've been very criticized throughout my years in the corporate world because I refuse to freak out. And so when I find myself getting stressed or whatnot, I would get up from my desk and I would do some, yoga stretches right there and do some deep breathing and whatnot. And people would go, oh, gosh, she's so weird. She's so weird. But I was always the one that when everybody else was panicking, from a missed deadline or whatnot, they would come to me and say, Monica, fix it, because I would not panic. So,
and staying calm in a chaotic environment is a real strength. Anybody can go to a cave and be at peace.
Yeah.
And that's where mindfulness practice really comes into play, when you
absolutely
be at calm and peace
in
a chaotic environment. So you mentioned that yoga, number one, yoga, number two, breathing. And what else do you practice?
Well, so let's go back to the journaling question.
Okay.
So in the Masters of Mindfulness community or in the Facebook community, whichever one. So how I teach it, and this is how I put it into the app, is when you journal, sometimes journaling helps people and sometimes it doesn't. And so again, just like we talked about, when do you do this breathing? Okay, so we talk about when do you journal? And if you journal, I tell people, don't just get on the hamster wheel. Because the hamster wheel. Your hamster gets on the wheel and it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And it doesn't go anywhere. It's
not intentional.
Right. Yes. You just go, 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 go. And it doesn't go anywhere. So you don't want to do that with your mind. You don't want to just get on that emotional hamster wheel of, here's what happened today and it really sucked and everything sucked and I didn't know what to do and and you just basically emotionally vomit on the page. That's not healthy. So what I teach is, because it doesn't train your mind to do something, you're in fight or flight, even in journaling. Okay.
Yep.
So what you're doing is you're just creating a ball of negativity. So what I teach is definitely write it out, get it all out. You need to get out whatever happened during the day, whatever happened to you or whatever. Maybe you got angry at a situation that was going on. And so you yelled at somebody else and now you feel guilt for it, but you don't know how to go and really make amends for it. So what you need to do in the journal is definitely write it out, but there needs to be an end result. There needs to be an action taken at the end of it. So at the end of it, you say, okay, well, why? Then you ask yourself a question, why did I feel this way? Write it out. And then say, okay, what do I want to do moving forward?
So these are the questions somebody should ask in their journaling process.
Yes. It is a little bit more detailed. I mean, this would be a whole talk on its own in this podcast. Yeah. So it's a little bit more detailed. Again, I give these office hours twice a week. Every talk is different. Sometimes we talk about nutrition in the body. I'm certified in nutrition. And because I love the body, I think it's our best tool. It's what we get stuck with when we're born. This is it. This is what we have. So it's really important to take care of our body, our mind, and our spirit. It's very important.
There can be any number of questions as part of journaling. And the reason is to be focused, not letting mind wander here and there.
Not letting your mind hamster wheel, not letting it go crazy, not creating a positive environment for yourself.
Well,
Definitely talk it out.
I have
But
two questions that
yes,
I ask myself a lot
go
of
ahead.
times when journaling. What would it look like if I do the opposite of everything? What would it look like if this thing is super simple? I'm trying to make it super hard. What would it look like if it is simpler? What would it look like if I can accomplish 3-month project into 1 month?
Yeah.
Challenging my mind to come up with better answers.
Yes. And then how do I do it? How do I do it? How do I implement this? It's great to ask yourself, hey, what if it was simpler? Then the next question is, okay, if it was simpler, life would be simpler, or this would be simpler, it would go smoother, I wouldn't have anxiety, I wouldn't be stressed, so on and so forth. But then how do I do it? What are the steps I need to take to make that happen? Create that life. That's what I teach. Creation. Create that. If you can dream it, you know that saying, if you can dream it, you can do it. But then nobody tells you how to do it, right?
Right.
I can dream it. I can dream it all day long. But how do I do it?
How is very important. How, why, what?
Yeah.
How is something I think a lot of people give up in the how. People know
Yeah.
what, why.
People know what they want. Exactly. And so that's what I teach. Here, I did a whole series on baby steps. Everybody wants to run. Everybody wants to run to the finish line, right?
Right.
Okay. But if you run and you don't know where you're running to, chances are you're going to trip and fall.
Exactly.
If you're not wearing the right shoes, if they're too big for you, chances are you're going to trip and fall. If they're too tight, chances are they're going to hurt your feet. So it's about preparing yourself. So understanding how to prepare yourself. You need to do it in baby steps. You'll get to that finish line. I promise you'll get to that finish line. But let's get to the finish line safely.
If somebody is not sure about how to's, what should they do?
Find somebody who's done it. Find somebody who's done it and follow their model. Figure out if their model is right for you. There's a ton of information out there, you guys. We have what's called the World Wide Web, the internet, and there's a ton of information out there. Not all of it's good information.
And that's a problem as well.
Yeah,
Information
absolutely.
overload.
You have to learn how to decipher it. Figure out you first. The first thing, and this is mindfulness, okay? This is what I love about mindfulness. Love it. You're getting back to you. You're figuring out you. How do I handle stresses? What are my triggers? What triggers me? Okay, I understand this triggers me. Why? And I'll give you a personal example of a trigger. So I used to get so if you met me now, you'd be like, oh my God, Monica's so calm. And this has been me for years. Monica's so calm. She's, everybody can be falling down around her. And she's the one that's standing up, picking up everybody's pieces in a calm state, saying, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. It's okay. All will be good. I'm that person. But I grew up in a really volatile household. And I was called a liar a lot. I was blamed for a lot of stuff that I didn't do. Okay. My family found a scapegoat in me really quickly because I'm so nice. Okay. So everybody just pointed fingers at me. So and then I would get hit for something I didn't do. And so in my teenage years and in my 20s, anytime somebody called me a liar, I would get triggered so bad because, and I had to do my own root digging. So I developed a tool called root digging. So I had to do my own root digging and figure out why I was getting so angry when somebody would say, oh, Monica, you're not telling the truth, or you're lying about this or that or the other, when I knew darn well that they were, okay? But the reason I would get so angry, it was because I related being called a liar to about to get beat for it, being hit. So there was a fear, we talk about fight or flight. And that's what I would go into every time somebody called me, would say I was not being truthful about something when I knew darn well it was on them, and then I'd go into this like trigger mode and I get really angry and, your cortisol goes up and adrenaline starts pumping, all kinds of bad things start happening in the body. But I had to do that root digging for myself. And then I had to work it out. And then I had to figure out, okay, when that happens to me, because it's going to happen throughout the rest of your life, the rest of my life.
How did you do that?
Everybody's life.
How did you do that?
How do I do what?
Understand your trigger.
Oh, I had to root dig it. I had to root dig and figure out where it came from first. And then I had to say to myself, okay, There are dishonest people in life. That's what my family taught me. They taught me that there are dishonest people in life. So sometimes when we say, man, God or universe or whoever, why did you do this to me? Why did you make it so hard for me? Why did you XYZ? It's made me this. What we really need to do, not all, what we would need to do for ourselves is look at the why. Why were we put in that situation? Because my core is really, really kind. The universe put me into a dishonest family, and I was punished a lot. And there was a reason for that. It was because I had to understand that there was going to be dishonesty in the world, and I was going to be faced with this dishonesty. But I had to stay true to my kindness, true to myself, and learn how to stand up for myself without becoming angry, how to illuminate the truth without volatility. See, and that's what I've done my whole life. Every time somebody said, oh, Monica's the one that fell down and didn't finish our deadline. And I've been able to paper trail it back to that's not true.
Can I share my trigger point?
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to hear it.
So I think a few years ago, whenever any girl told me you're too nice, and I always thought they are rejecting me.
Oh, no.
They are saying no to me. Being nice, if a girl is telling a man you're too nice, means, dude, you're rejected. And then
because guys think that girls don't like the nice guy.
And she's just saying, you deserve somebody else. You don't deserve me. You're a nice guy, but you know what? You deserve better than me. And then I was living with that story for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And when I started changing that story, that if somebody is telling me I am nice, it means I'm nice. So accept it, receive it.
Yeah. Yes.
Do not give any other meaning.
Yes.
Because I cannot control their outcome.
No, you can't.
And this came from mindfulness, being aware of my emotions and feelings.
Yes.
People will tell you whatever they want to tell because it is their opinion and they are entitled to your opinion.
Yes.
It's what you do with that opinion determines your quality of your life.
Yes.
And in fact, a few days ago, somebody told me that my ways of communication is very different and it does not align with their life. And I asked myself, am I a bad person? What should I do with this? Should I beat myself? Should I cushion my identity? I was asking all these questions. Then with this mindfulness practice, I asked myself, this is their opinion and they're okay. They're entitled to whatever they want to say.
Yes.
And this is my ways of communication. This is me. This is authentically me.
Yes.
I cannot change it for somebody else. If somebody wants to be with you, they will communicate in a well-respected way. You will negotiate because life is negotiation. You negotiate. If somebody is not willing to negotiate with you, you just walk away.
Yeah.
Well, Monica, and in your TEDx, you have talked about evolution through mindfulness. Yes. Can you elaborate more on that evolution?
Well, it's just what we were speaking about right now. So you've been practicing mindfulness for quite a long time. And so when girls would tell you you're too nice, you would, in the beginning, recoil. You would feel bad about yourself. Oh, I'm too nice, so she's going to reject me. Girls don't like the nice guy, so on and so forth. And then you came to understand that this is mindfulness practice, and this is evolution through mindfulness. You go through a process of understanding yourself, understanding that, hey, it's okay to be nice. And so I'll give you another one. Let's get off nice for a minute, okay?
Okay.
I'm hyper. I've been hyper since I was a kid. I jump around, you wouldn't believe, okay? It's just the way I was built. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm an overachiever. It's cool. I love that about myself, but I've been picked on about it so much. Sit still, be still, da, 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 da. Okay, well, you know what? This is the speed I work at. How I evolved within that was I used to speak a lot faster than I speak now, if you can believe it. And what I had to do was understand that what you just said about your communication, people weren't understanding me in the way that I needed them to because I was speaking too quick, too fast. So I needed to learn how to slow down that speech pattern. Now, here's the caveat. If I speak too slow, I trip over my words because my brain's working at way too fast. So there has to be a middle ground. And so with my friends, with people that are around me constantly, coworkers, employees, whatnot, I explain this to them and say, if you don't understand what I'm saying, please stop me. I'm not going to think poorly of you. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you dumb. I'm not going to think of you as dumb. I'm not going to think anything negative of you. I don't want you to think anything negative of me. We need a good bridge of communication between us. So I am saying to you, this is my issue. Me speaking fast is my issue. I am already slowing it down. Trust me, this is slow. I literally say that. But if you don't understand what I'm saying, please ask me questions. I welcome it.
And opening to receiving feedback.
Yes, 100%. You have to be. It's one of the things, I teach a class in effective communication, and that is one of the things that I teach. You need to be open to communication. You need to be open to criticism. You need to be open to somebody else's way of being. That's mindfulness. That's evolution. Understanding yourself gives you more openness to understand the people around you and to let them know you in the way that you are. I'm nice. My friends love that I'm nice. They love that I'm so giving. They love it. When it's my birthday, I have a get together and I give everybody gifts. Everybody who comes to my get togethers, they already know this about me. That's how I am. Now they are my friends. They love me. They bring me gifts too. But I'm always like, don't bring me gifts. This is my thing. This is how
me.
I practice love. Yeah, exactly. But they're like, okay, but you know what? So then they sat and told me, but you have to let us give to you as well, because you give to us all year long and then you give to us on your birthday. So you just have to let us do the same back because we love you. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. That's amazing.
Because if we keep giving all the time and not receive, we kind of block that energy system in our body.
Yeah.
We are not opening to receive. And I still practice at it. That receiving love can be hard for me. Giving love is fine. Receiving love can be tough for me.
So I'm going to say something to you really quickly. So I'm going to give you a little bit of Monica. Okay.
Sure.
Women. And some of these women listening to this podcast, love you ladies. But again, let's practice some mindfulness. Let's really get to learn ourselves. I've worked with thousands of people in my life. And the pattern that I found is that when we grow up in a negative situation, okay, I'm not criticizing your parents. Don't think I'm doing that. But sometimes when we grow up in a negative situation where we're treated harshly or whatnot, we don't understand the nice guys. We just don't. We love them. We think it's awesome. We want to be their friends. We want to hang out with them because they're so nice. And they're not there criticizing us and whatnot. But the men that we're attracted to are the bad boys. Okay. And I'm not even saying like the biker, like the biker rough, shoot 'em up cowboy. I'm not talking about that. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we are attracted to that person who's going to not say nice things all the time just because we're stuck in that pattern and we don't know we're stuck in that pattern. So Nishant, sometimes when a girl says you're too nice, understand she might be stuck in a pattern of needing somebody who checks her, so to speak, now and again. Okay. I'm not going to say go down that road. You be you. You talked about authentic. I talk to my clients about we find their most authentic selves and I help them live in their most authentic self. Okay. So keep being your most authentic self, but maybe try to talk to that girl who's saying you're too nice. You deserve a nice girl. Just kind of about that. What has her past been? What is she looking for? I think when we understand mindfulness and we understand evolution, I do believe that we have a responsibility to not push it on people, but to illuminate once in a while.
And understand and becoming aware of the environment.
Yeah.
I was reading this book called Awareness from Anthony DeMello.
Okay.
And this guy always talks about that. Nobody can accept you or reject you because they are holding an image of you. They can only accept or reject that image.
Yeah.
Because you are you. Nobody can accept or reject you.
Yeah.
Because you are a true soul.
Yeah.
They are seeing the outer.
But you have to go back to being your true soul. A lot of people diverge from that because they're being taught from a young age When you come out of the womb, you've already got traits. You've already got characteristics. You already have them. The universe already gave them to you. But we have parents, and our parents say, I want my child to be a doctor, or my child's going to be a lawyer, or my child's going to be, a firefighter, or we get expectations pushed upon us.
Conditioning.
Yes. And so we start, diverging from that, from our true core. I have a lot of clients, and I literally just had a talk with a client yesterday, the same talk that I've had with many, many clients, that our parents, and again, I'm not calling your parents bad people, okay? That our parents kind of do this hypocritical thing of, how many times have you heard your parents say, don't lie, Nishant. You have to tell me the truth, Nishant. Tell me the truth.
My parents only tell me get married. Why are you not getting married? That's the only question they have been asking me for last.
I love it. I love it. But here's okay. So going back to clients. But what they do is, then we see our parents not telling the truth. So we see this hypocrisy going on. Well, you want me to tell the truth, but I just saw you lie to dad, or I just saw you lie to sister or brother, or my aunt or my uncle or your boss or whatever. So then we get it gets kind of warped in our mind of what is the truth. And then we don't know how to tell ourselves the truth. Okay. And so again, we move away from our core. I get people to get back to your most authentic self. Live in your most, if you're nice, Nishant, bravo you.
And so speaking excited. Of the core,
I have another nice person on the planet. Yes.
Well, thank you for all the coaching. So speaking of core, we have this core chapter, quote unquote core, in your book. So Can you elaborate more on that? How can we connect to our core? Because we have so many layers, conditioning, so many past beliefs, emotional baggage, spiritual baggage. How can we release all those baggages and connect to our core authentic self?
It's baby steps, step by step by step. The first thing that I teach, literally, the first session that you're going to have with me when you come in is, we're going to talk. I'm just going to let you talk. That's it. You just talk. You get on that hamster wheel. I may pull you off now and again to ask you a few questions, but I want to get to know you, of who you are at that moment in time. As I'm getting to know who you are at that moment in time, Monica Ortiz, is getting to know your core, because I've been doing this for a really long time. So then I give you some homework. You're going to leave with homework. My clients laugh at me because they're like, yep, you're the queen of homework. Yep. I know when I talk to you, I'm going to get some homework. Well, of course you are. Everybody every therapist, every psychologist, every life coach, executive coach, they should be giving you homework. If you're not getting homework, there's an issue. I'm putting it out there. There's an issue. My first homework that I give you, it's called Who Am I? Okay. So you guys are getting a free session out there. Take advantage of it. The first question is, who am I? Now, you're not going to answer that question with, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a nurse, I'm a health and healing practitioner.
They are the labels.
Yeah, those are your labels. That's not who you are, you guys. That's what you do for a living. That doesn't make who you are. If you're saying you're a lawyer, what kind of lawyer are you? Are you an honest lawyer? Are you a dishonest lawyer? Are you one who fights for good? Are you patient? Like you want to answer what your traits and characteristics are. Are you kind? Are you compassionate? Are you friendly? Are you happy? Are you a happy person? Are you a giggler? In one of the classes, because I teach classes, like in-person classes. And one of the things, one of the students said, the first who am I question he answered, it was liar. He's like, I'm a liar. And then we dug into it a little bit later, and then, so you write down the trait or characteristic. So you guys, I just wrote another book. It's at the publishers. It's going to print. It should be out in the end of this month, I believe. It's called Relationships Evolve, Forging Bonds That Last. And in that book, it teaches this. It teaches the core and how to figure out who you are at your core. So after you write down the trait or characteristic, you have to give a reason why you believe you're that. That's how you find your core. So it would be, I am kind. The reason I am kind is because, and then your reason.
I did a workshop in LA last year. And as part of that workshop, they asked us to have 3 words assigned to each individual. So you have to come up with 3 words for yourself.
Okay.
And for me, those 3 words were self-reliant, compassionate, and energetic. So
Okay.
these 3 words are nothing but the contract between you and your life. Whatever you do in your life, you'll do everything based on and aligned with these 3 words. For me, it is energetic. I get to be energetic in whatever I do in my life. Be
Mm-hmm.
compassionate, self-reliance, coming from immersion,
Yeah.
Ralph Waldo Emerson. So that is you. Whatever society culture is telling you, it could be BS. Do
Yeah.
whatever you feel like. What your calling is, what's your dharma, purpose is. This is when my self-reliance comes into whatever I do. Some people like it, some hate it, some don't. But I practice self-reliance. It's not
Yes.
easy.
Yes.
And this mindfulness thing is a buzzword. This is so
It is a
simple,
buzzword. It's making me crazy. It's
and
such
it's
a
still,
buzzword because
it's
people
still
don't understand it.
and still people don't do it. So
Yeah.
why do you think people
Because
don't
they
do
don't
it?
because they don't completely understand it yet. And that's why I've been trying so hard these last few years to really explain the evolution of mindfulness. That's why I built the app, and I built the different features in the app so that people could understand that. I'm going to go back to what you were talking about this course. So those 3 things that you wrote down, those 3 things were the most important to you at that time. Okay. You chose the 3 things, the parts of your core, the parts of Nishant that were most important to you at that moment. When we do it in my class, I make the students do 8. Then their next homework is to do 12 more, because I teach people you're at least 20 traits, at the very least. And everybody said, oh no, please don't make me. I can't. I'm going to need a dictionary. They come all these excuses. But then they do it, and they start finding themselves. The second part of that is, if you are unsure, okay, then we do more homework. But sometimes I tell people, find a really good, honest friend. Think of your most honest friend, that person that you can go to and they'll be like, yeah, you look fat in those jeans, take them off.
Honest
Or,
feedback.
yeah, honest. They're just honest, but in a loving way. Okay. You have a friend like that. I know we all do. We all have that honest friend, but in a loving way, not the honest, harsh friend who's got their own issues and wants to throw their nonsense on you. Okay.
And
Not
most of the
that person.
friends can be like that. They're harsh.
Oh my
That's a
gosh.
sad reality.
So much so. So find that honest, loving friend, sit down with, ask them, I just did some homework. I want to know if you'll sit down with me and go over it with me, because I need your feedback. Please be honest with me. Please don't be afraid. Again, we're practicing effective communication now. Please don't be afraid that you're going to hurt my feelings, because I really need to get to the roots of this. This work is important to me. And sit down and go over each one answer that you gave and get their feedback. And they'll say, yeah, Monica, you're kind. So this is what I got back. Yeah, Monica, you're kind. You're too kind. Like sometimes you're too kind, and that's why people run over you. You need to learn blah, 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 to be less kind or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's kind of impossible. This is my core. But what I learned from that feedback is they were right. I do get run over a lot. I do get used a lot. So I had to learn to be a little more discerning. That's my evolution in my who am I.
And that comes
From
and that
learning.
and that can become passive aggression. That was me.
Exactly.
People
But
running
you don't
all
want
over
to
me,
go that. You don't want to go that route.
and it burst. And there comes a
Yeah.
point when you just burst.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah. You
passive
don't.
aggression burst, and you break your relationships.
Yeah. And so so again, if I were helping you, we would have targeted that. We would have targeted the whole situation, and then we would have worked it out so that you didn't develop any passive aggressive tendencies. So you
Yeah.
don't go down again. And what I say is, we're practicing mindfulness. We're being mindful of our core, who we are, how our thoughts become our words, become our actions, how those actions not only affect us, but they do impact the people around us. How are they going to impact the people around us? Now I have to practice effective communication to explain what's going on so that I can move forward in my life without injuring anybody else. If I do injure somebody else, I need to practice making amends in a healthy way.
And having open conversation in a
Having beautiful,
discussion.
honest, open conversations, inviting that other person to also speak, letting them speak their words too.
I learned this practice from Ray Dalio podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
he used to do this trick in his company, that whenever there is a conflict
Mm-hmm.
between two person, they have this rule of 3 minute. One
Okay.
person will speak for 3 minutes and another person will not interrupt.
Yes.
And then you are allowed to speak and they are not allowed to interrupt you. So it's
Yeah.
a way of conflict resolution. Conflicts will always come, but
Yes.
when you have mindfulness practices, when you have the mindful awareness, then you can deal with that.
Yes.
And if somebody is saying they never have problem, it means they may be living a mediocre life, not judging anybody. You may not be trying so hard. When
Yeah.
I approach people for the podcast, people think, who the heck are you?
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, how many downloads do you have?
What?
And I said, this is the beginning of the millions of downloads, sir. And you know what? I would like to ask you this question, which is something I see it all the time. People feel that something is missing in their life. They need to work at it, but still they are not taking any action towards it. They know it, they're aware, but there is no action behind it. What do you think could be the reason?
Well, there could be a lot of reasons, but the biggest one that I've seen is always fear. Fear of the unknown. You want a better life. You can dream of a better life. But how do you take that first step? If I fall
Uncertainty.
down, it's going to hurt. So it's better not to do it. It's fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown, uncertainty. And
Yeah,
Brené Brown always speaks about uncertainty has power, is superpower.
totally. Go do it. This is where I get my clients. I've trained uh, athletes. I've taken 2 athletes to nationals gold medals. Um, uh, we have to change the mindset. We have to change that fear. Yeah, it's going to be scary. I can guarantee it's going to be scary. I've done tons of things. I've broken lots of ground and it was scary, but you have to do it. You have to move forward.
And
Because you don't know what you're capable of, you guys. You don't know until you try. You could be capable of helping Elon Musk go to the stars, go to Mars. You could be capable of that.
and it requires a lot of courage,
Yeah.
not confidence, courage. When we don't know anything, it requires courage. Confidence is something that we can develop over a period of time when we get
Yes.
better at something. It requires
Yeah.
a lot of courage. We don't know what is going to happen.
Yeah. And from the time that we're young, a lot of us get beaten up. Our courage goes away. And so what I teach is to find that courage again, to have that inner strength that you need to face the fears so that the fears become non-fears.
For me, you know what? Since I was in high school, I was overachiever always, not bragging, but I was always teased about it. My friends, schoolmates always bullied me about my ways of being, why I am super achiever, why I'm thinking so ahead. When I
Mm-hmm.
was in high school, I was thinking about college. When I was in college, I was thinking about doing MBA. Always
Mm-hmm.
thinking ahead. I don't know, this is just natural me. I don't know what God or universe put inside of me.
Yes.
So I was always teased about that. And
Yeah.
I always thought about it, why people do it.
Okay. So
Why
what
people say
answer did
things.
you come up with?
The answer, I never listen to anybody. This is a natural gift, I would say. I never listen to anybody. In fact, to my parents, never listen to anybody. I just respected everybody
Mm-hmm.
and just kept moving on, kept failing. Some people on the Facebook told me, whatever you're writing, it's not perfect grammar. English grammar is not perfect. Okay, I will learn from it. Whatever you
Yep.
are sharing is not perfect. It has flaws. The grammar is wrong. The color is wrong. This wrong, that wrong. You know what? I'm showing up. Showing up matters. You will
Yes.
figure it out. And it requires a lot of courage. Showing up
It
requires courage.
it does, and you do, and we listen. Sorry, people are saying that it's not nice. And those people who think they have perfect grammar should talk to my editor.
It's just an analogy.
Just saying, because a lot of people out there don't know what an Oxford comma is. And at least I know what an Oxford comma is, okay? I'm just teasing. I do know what an Oxford comma is. But I'm saying, like, we all know, like, we learn what we learn. And we learn as we go. And it breaks my heart a lot that, and that's a real statement. I said, my heart gets broken. I go into these places where inside myself where I go, why is that happening? Like, it doesn't need to happen. That person doesn't need to say all those bad things to that other person. You know, there's no reason for it, but there is a reason for it. The reason is because the other person's in a lot of pain. And so when you're in a lot of pain, what did we talk about? We've mentioned it several times on this call. It's fight or flight. You know, people lash out. There's a guy on my Facebook who his posts are very confusing because he posts this like, hey guys, we all need to love each other. We need to practice love. And then he'll do a post, oh, it's peace in the universe. And, you know, all these like beautiful posts. And then he comes out with some like political haterness. Like, this guy's a jerk. He should die, blah, blah. I'm like, wait a minute. What happened to that peace in the universe post that you posted? What happened to love each other?
Yeah, universe
Yeah.
never teaches judgment.
Right, exactly. It doesn't. We as humans teach judgment. And if we can let that go, if we can really just let it go, racism, we're all one race. We're lots of different colors. We come from lots of different countries. Okay? Different states, different provinces,
different accents,
different villages. We speak different languages, but we're all one race, people.
We are spiritual beings.
Okay? That's it. That's it. And once we can see each other like that, I'm 9 different ethnicities. That's because my family understands that concept. That we are one, and we don't look at people like that.
I would like to share this very deep thing that I've never shared live on the air.
Yay.
So since we are speaking of ethnicities, spiritual beings connection.
Yes.
I moved to US in 2014.
Okay.
I thought, I have computer science degree. I'm educated. I have made a lot of money in my life. I was thinking that that was my negative self-talk. I cannot go to the top ladders because I have an accent. I've come from India. I have this Indian accent. I cannot survive in the United States of America.
No.
And last year, something happened when I had that major breakthrough. Since last year, I have created so many things. And then I saw Deepak Chopra.
Okay.
And Deepak Chopra can be so powerful and famous in the world with this Indian thick accent.
Mm-hmm.
Anything is possible. Accent or how you look, or what your face color is, doesn't matter. It doesn't identify you. It doesn't define you.
Mm-hmm.
We all have this innate purpose that we are here for.
We are. Absolutely. And once we understand that, and once we understand that each person has a place in this universe, each of us has a place. There's no need for jealousy. There's no need for rivalry. There's no need for greed. There is no need. So good for you for having that breakthrough. I don't think accents, again, we pick on people with accents because we just pick on people. We're going to do, whether it's your accent or the size that you are. You know, I'm a 5'1" woman. I'm tiny. I was a financial analyst when I first started out in the business world. I was a financial analyst. I would go into, and this is real, I would go, and I'm an ethnic woman. Like I said, I'm 9 different ethnicities. A lot of people mistake me for Hispanic, but I'm not. I'm not 9 others. But I have Hispanic relatives. I have relatives who are in Mexico. My sister married a Hispanic man. I have a nephew and 2 nieces that are Hispanic. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Our family is so mixed. It didn't occur to me to be racist. It just didn't. So like I love, when I was in way back in the day in financial analyst, I worked for a major bank. I handled $500 million for them. And I would be in meetings with these super tall white men because I'm 5'1", even in heels, I may be 5'4", maybe, super tall white men, and one black man, but the rest, everybody else was men. And I'd have to give these, reports and presentations and stuff. And it was intimidating, but I didn't back down, you guys. I always stood on my ground. I did a ton of research. So I always knew that I was going into that meeting loaded with information and the accurate information. I always told the truth. So they knew me as very, very honest. I made sure I established who I was and who I was going to be in those businesses, and so my 5'1" little ethnic person self, and I'm Native American. So the major part of me, or the biggest percentage, I should say, of me is Native American. And I was taught Native Americans didn't get a break in America. We still don't get a break in America. We don't. It's the truth. We are under, literally, we are, like if there's a hierarchy, we are on the bottom in America. You can ask any Native American person that. But I wasn't taught, I was taught that, but I was also taught to stand my ground, to, make my mark.
It's all about embracing who you are and where you have come from, just embracing it, accepting everything about you.
Everything about yourself, but find yourself first. Find yourself. Don't just rely on the fact of what other people taught you are. If it doesn't feel right, if it's causing you discord, if you're not settled, if you're not happy, if you're unhappy with certain things, there is an issue going on with you. There's a fight, there's a pull. And so you just got to weed it out. You got to find you first. And then you're going to be able to establish a solid foundation within yourself. And you're going to be able to be your happiest self and live your happiest life.
Well, Monica, this has been an amazing conversation, but I would like to ask you my last question over here. Yes. I know we have talked so many things. What is that one advice would you give to our listeners? Any advice?
No, I that's too broad of a question for me. So advice about what? Coronavirus, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
Let's talk about coronavirus.
We're in a really tough situation in the world right now. We are in a pandemic. I'm going to say, you're hearing a lot of this, don't panic, stay calm, but you're hearing a lot of other information that causes panic. It causes fear. And fear, we're going to go back to, I think the theme of this conversation has been fight or flight. We're going to go back to fight or flight. Fear causes panic, and panic causes fight or flight. And I'm going to say, breathe, sift through the information. I know what's real. My mom was in medicine. My family's in medicine. I have a lot of medical knowledge. I'm also, like I said, I was a financial analyst, so I know how to do research because I'm fascinated by medicine. I'm always doing research. I really, when I started working with people, wanted to know how to heal the mind, the body, and the spirit. So I've done a lot of study, you guys. Sometimes I think too much, but a lot of study. And so, I'm going to say, really sift through the information, find the accuracy of the information, and definitely plan. Make sure you have, this is going to sound really dumb, but make sure you have toilet paper, make sure you have food, because you want to stay home. The bottom line is you need to stay home right now. Create a loving environment in your home. Even if I'm by myself. So even if you're by yourself, create a loving environment in your home where you feel safe, where you feel comfortable, where you feel good. Be productive. Be productive in having conversations with people you haven't been able to have a conversation with in a while because you've been too busy with work, with life, with such and such. Have those conversations now. Open those doors. Give yourself the opportunity to be present with yourself right now. Figure some stuff out for you so that when the doors open again and we're able to go back out into the world, you just became a little better you.
Well, that's a great advice, Monica.
Thank you,
And
Nishant.
thank you for being on the show. Thank you for listening to this podcast with Monica Ortiz. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned from this episode that you can apply in your life. If you did enjoy this, please subscribe to the podcast, The Nishant Garg Show, on Apple Podcasts and leave reviews. Also, you can make an impact in someone else's life by sharing this podcast. When you share this, you can transform someone else's life. I'm so grateful for having Monica on this podcast and share her message with the world. So please spread the message everywhere to spread inspiration. As Dr. Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.